This is The Unlikely Romance by Mickey Flynn, narrated by ElevenLabs digital audio voice Anna Rita 2. A creative clash. Ava. Ryan was already seated at the head of the long oak table in Harmony Falls Town Hall when I arrived. His gaze was fixed on his tablet like it held the secrets of the universe. The rest of the town's project committee members milled around, chatting about road repairs and the latest high school football game. But Ryan? He was as still as a statue, oozing control and authority. I made my way in, juggling my sketchpad, laptop, and a cup of coffee that was teetering dangerously close to spilling. I felt more like a flustered juggler than a confident artist. But I forced myself to smile and nod as the committee members turned to greet me. "Ava, so glad you're here," chirped Linda, the town librarian, giving me a quick hug. "I can't wait to see what you've got in store for us today." "Me too," I replied, flashing her a grin. "I've got some big ideas." "Good," Ryan's voice cut through the chatter like a knife, and all eyes turned to him. He set his tablet down with a deliberate movement, as if even that action was calculated for maximum efficiency. "Let's get started." "Hello to you too," I muttered under my breath. The committee members closest to me stifled laughs. Ryan's lips thinned, and I couldn't resist the tiny thrill of satisfaction. If he was going to be all business, I'd throw in a little flair. I set up my laptop and flipped open my sketchpad, hyper-aware of Ryan sitting at the head of the table. His presence alone was enough to make the back of my neck prickle, even though he hadn't really looked at me, not directly, since our tense first encounter in the square. But now, as I took a deep breath and started to speak, I felt his attention settle on me, heavy and focused. "So I'm really excited to share my vision for the Harmony Falls mural project," I began, keeping my voice bright and upbeat. I pulled up the first image on my screen, a rough digital mock-up of a colourful, sweeping mural that incorporated key elements of the town's history and natural beauty. This isn't just about painting a wall. It's about bringing the town together, celebrating our past while looking forward to the future. Each section will represent a different part of Harmony Falls' story and... "What's the projected timeline for completion?" Ryan cut in. I blinked, momentarily thrown off. Well, it depends on a lot of factors. The weather, for one, and the availability of local volunteers." "So you don't have a concrete timeline?" he said smoothly, leaning back in his chair. I bit back a sharp retort. "It's a creative process," I replied, forcing my tone to remain calm and even. "It can't always be pinned down to an exact schedule." Ryan just gave me a bland smile that made my blood boil. "Everything has a schedule, Ms. Brooks. If we're going to stay on budget, we need a detailed timeline." "Art doesn't work like that," I insisted, my fingers tightening around my sketchpad. "This isn't a construction project, Ryan. It's a project with deliverables and deadlines," he interrupted calmly. "The mural is part of a larger initiative. We can't afford to have it dragging out indefinitely." Dragging out indefinitely, my jaw clenched. Who did this guy think he was? I glanced around the table, seeing a few sympathetic faces, but no one stepped in. They were probably too used to his steamroller approach to bother. "All right," I said, forcing a smile. "If you want a timeline, I'll give you a timeline. But I'm telling you now, creativity doesn't follow a clock." "Neither do budgets," he replied, his smile sharpening. The room fell into a brief, awkward silence. Then Linda cleared her throat. "Why don't we focus on the design elements for now?" she suggested, shooting me a supportive look. "I'm sure Ava's process will—" "Actually," Ryan interrupted, and I nearly growled out loud, "I'd like to address a few logistical concerns before we get into the aesthetics." "Of course you would," I muttered, He ignored me, shuffling through some papers in front of him. The current budget allocation allows for a mural of approximately 400 square feet, but the design you're proposing would cover nearly twice that. How do you plan to adjust for the additional cost? I stared at him, open-mouthed. Adjust for the cost? We hadn't even agreed on the basic concept yet, and he was already nickel and diming the creativity out of it. The point, I said slowly, choosing my words with care, isn't to cut corners. It's to make something beautiful, something that will inspire people and... Yes, but we have to be practical, he cut in, his tone maddeningly reasonable. I'm not saying your vision isn't ambitious, but we need to consider the realities of execution. Ambitious? I repeated, bristling. It's a mural, not a lunar landing. He blinked, clearly caught off guard, and a couple of the committee members chuckled. Linda hid a smile behind her hand, and even old Mr. Granger, who rarely cracked a grin, looked amused. Ryan's expression, however, didn't change. My point, Miss Brooks, is that we need to work within our means. My fingers twitched, itching to fling my sketchpad across the table. Instead, I took a deep breath and clicked to the next slide on my laptop, pushing it toward him with a bright, defiant smile. This is what I have in mind. Let's see what we can agree on. He glanced down at the screen, his eyes narrowing slightly as he took in the vibrant, swirling design. For a moment, just a moment, I thought I saw something flicker in his gaze. Curiosity, admiration. It was gone almost before I registered it, replaced by his usual cool professionalism. I see, he said quietly. It's colourful. Vibrant, I corrected him once more. Yes, he murmured, then looked up and our gazes locked. Vibrant. But is it feasible? My pulse quickened, and I couldn't tell if it was anger, determination, or something else entirely. I leaned forward, holding his gaze without blinking. Why don't we find out? The challenge hung between us like an electric wire, crackling with tension. For a long moment he didn't move. Then, slowly, he nodded. Fine, he said softly. Let's see if we can make this work. It wasn't quite a truce, but it was a start. As the committee members murmured and shuffled their papers, I stayed where I was, staring Ryan down, a tiny smile tugging at my lips. Maybe I didn't have a timeline yet. Maybe I didn't even have his approval, but I had something better, a challenge. And I never backed down from a challenge.